So Black Canyon, we've been exploring up in the Pilbara now for about 3.5 years. Recently, the Department of Minerals, Industry and Resources reclassified all the manganese deposits in WA, and the Black Canyon asset's actually the largest in WA as well. So that's been a nice, milestone for the company to achieve. We do have the largest resources at about 340 million tonnes at 10% manganese located in WA. But more recently, we've found a high-grade stratabound style of mineralisation. It's a whole new style of mineralisation found in the Pilbara of WA. People have been looking for manganese up there forever and a day, but we've actually come across this mineralisation in much younger rocks. Woody Woody is the mine that has been producing manganese for 40, 50 years. It's hosted in older rocks. We just sort of flipped it a bit on its head and looked at some younger rocks and found some manganese at surface and done some rock chipping along there, got some very high manganese results associated with iron as well. So we're talking manganese between 50 to 60% at surface, and iron hematite rock chip samples between 55 and 65% iron. So super interesting, certainly for a geologist, but now I need to translate that into value for shareholders as well. And we did complete a modest RC drill program in September last year, and we were able to deliver 5 to 7 metre intervals of manganese grading between 20 and 50% manganese, which has been a great start. So at KR1 and KR2, we released a scoping study on the economic analysis of those projects. The results are pretty solid, 340 million NPV and an IRR of 7%. With a pretty modest capex of around 85 million to set those up. It's a very simple process: mining it, trucking it to the processing plant, crushing it, screening it, washing it, and then putting it through a DMS and getting a product. That's been our focus at KR1 and KR2, looking at those projects. We recently completed some infill drilling to upgrade the KR2 resource from inferred to indicated, and in doing that we'll be able to push the production from that pit closer to the start of the mine life, which should also improve our cash flows because it's shallow and it's high grade. And at Wandanya, it's a virgin discovery for the company. It is ticking a lot of boxes in terms of scale, 3 kilometres long. We've only drilled 240 strike metres of that to date. Those results have been very consistent along that 240 metres of strike. It's open to the east, so dipping to the east, so certainly more growth potential down that side. We've got no idea how big the mineralisation footprint for this could be. That's why we want to do more drilling on that project. And it's also got hematite that's never been drilled previously, so we want to put some holes into those targets as well. Well, by far the traditional steel market is where 95% of manganese mined, refined, it goes to ultimately. Those markets are dominated by China and also India, so naturally that's the market we'll be targeting with the production of our concentrates. It goes through an intermediate process as part of the upgrading of the manganese concentrator to make silico-manganese and also ferromanganese, and then they're fed into production of steel. So that has been our focus, finding resources that we can produce a concentrate that will ultimately end up in the steel industry. We have looked at downstream processing as well with high-purity manganese sulfate, and that's something that we'll continue to investigate. We've done enough test work to know that we can produce it. We do have a flow sheet in-house that we can produce from our lower grade manganese shale hosted mineralisation. We can produce the high-purity manganese sulfate. Further work can be done in that space as well for the company, but it's probably not the key focus at this stage. Someone recently said, drill baby drill. That's what we're going to be doing at Wandanya. We really do want to get some more drill holes into that. We've only really tickled it. I think we've only tested 10% of the total strike length of that deposit for manganese, so that'll be a key focus for the company in the next 6 to 12 months. Also putting in some diamond core into those projects as well will be really important to understand what the mineralisation looks like, and then we can put that through more metallurgical test work. And also not losing sight of the iron mineralisation that we do have right next door to the manganese as well. So it'll be good to get some holes into that and understand the potential of that as well. There comes a point where every company does move from, or does transition from being an explorer to a developer. So we've always got those in mind. So in terms of development studies for the projects, hopefully at Wandanya we are able to establish a mineral resource, and then we'll look at scoping studies, and also in parallel we need to start looking at The permitting process, commencing baseline environmental studies, continuing our discussions with the traditional owners in that region as well, and also the pastoral lease owners. So all these run in parallel, but primarily the next 6 to 12 months is going to be drilling, resource estimate and scoping study.